Hey guys, hello and welcome to a new video. I don't want to put any more wood on the burning fire, but since we are discussing banning lambdas in the Excel community, I want to share also my thoughts on this topic. You know or might not know that I'm one of the lambda power users, so I like lambdas, I like them a lot, I use them a lot. And yeah, I want to share also my thoughts on this, but I try to be balanced. So I've tried to put in all arguments against and for, and yeah, I will not come to a conclusion. I only want to summarize the recent discussion, and also want to share my thoughts on it in a less textual but more video way. And yeah, if you're not into Excel Esports or don't like this, sorry for that. And generally, if you want to view my Lambda way or my way to Lambdas and what Lambdas are and so on, and Lambdas and Excel Esports in specific, I will share some videos, or at least I can also share the playlist in the corner up there on the right, I think it is. Yeah. Okay, let's go into the discussion. So first, some prerequisites. I think the common goal of our community is to grow the Excel Esports, both in the number of audience, but also in the number of participants, while keeping it enjoyable for the current participants. So without more audience, without more participants, without more events, more sponsors, we can't we can't become the sports we want to be, Excel Esports. We will not get $1 million prize money, full-time Excel Esports players, and so on. But we still need to keep it enjoyable for the current players. So even if we're saying, okay, we want to go into that direction, then I think it is necessary to keep it enjoyable for the people that brought Excel Esports to the level it currently is. Okay, then also a prerequisites. It is still the World Championship in Excel. It should not be like a plain vanilla, basic, boring competition. It is still the World Championship in the most used computer program worldwide. And that's also an issue with all this stuff that we have, like one, if you put like LCs aside, but that's another topic to discuss. It is still one single competition where you put all people in. And yeah, therefore it's also complicated to balance it. And also a basic prerequisite, we are a very special sport. We are not comparable to chess. We are not comparable to Formula One, to more like, sports where you need to do something. So more like active sports. As someone who wrote a little paper about this, we are not, it's even debatable if we are actually in esports. So with my scientific and brackets thoughts on this, we might be in Excel Esports, at least on the international level. On the German level, it is debatable. Also because like the huge, it's the text on the left, the huge German Excel Esports league, no, not league, federation said intentionally that something using Excel cannot be an esport. So they know about us, but they don't like us as an esports. And yeah, that's something, we are special. And that makes it hard to compare to other stuff. Then, so for the mode, I've tried to balance against and for. So you will see some for and against arguments in an alternating way, although it is not balanced. So there are a few more. And if it's red, then it's ban lambdas. If it's green, then ban them not. So using lambdas is shifting the competition away from the real-time modeling to something that is pre-competition engineering. So instead of doing it on the spot, writing on the spot your formulas, it is shifting parts of it away from to pre-competition. I cannot argue against this argument, but it's still debatable if the question is, okay, we only want to be there, do your stuff, and so on. So you can say, okay, I want a only real-time modeling, problem-solving competition, or I'm also fine with having some parts, not only the training, but also some other parts outsourced to some pre-training. Then, when using Lambdas, it is more enjoyable for some, because you do not waste time in doing some boring stuff, because if you do Excel Esports a lot, there is a lot of stuff which is low-key boring if you do it a lot. It's like flattening a map. Most of splitting text, handling errors. Right now I can't see errors anymore because there were so many cases doing handling errors, and therefore it is it is better for some people, or some people feel better when they do not need to do those tedious tasks that often. And if you do it a few times, then you know about it. For example, also indirect. I know that indirect can't handle arrays. I have a better indirect formula that can handle it. So I know about the limitations of indirect. There's no additional value not using the lambda. Then, when we allow lambdas, our focus is shifting more into like the architecture, the abstraction, and so on, instead of like the repetitive formula writing. So if you know, some lambdas do feel to me right now like a standard Excel function. I know how they handle, what their arguments are, and so on. So for me, as a competitor, it is like I'm using a normal formula. And therefore, my way of solving is less shifting into like writing this formula, but free for other stuff like the right architecture, the right data structure, and so on. And yeah, this is then less the tedious task and more a higher level of thinking, so to say. And you also have to admit, or at least our competitors, or some of our competitors have to admit, that even if you don't like lambdas and you stepped into it due to Excel Esports, it became normal to us to use lambdas, because it's then more real world Excel usage for us. And I think as the people at the front of Excel usage, we should actually all advocate in using more lambdas. I can think of like companies having their 5G lambda collections that all people in the company can then use, well documented, but saving a ton of time and so on. So I think lambdas are out since 2019. It's like 6 years or so. But I think actually the people are slow in adapting new stuff, and therefore we should actually be like the representatives of, or ambassadors of lambdas. Then another argument against lambdas. Some classes of problems can be solved with a single lambda call. So you might say, okay, some classes of problem are therefore not enjoyable anymore, not doable anymore without allowing some people to solving them fast. And I can say something against it. I think especially for map stuff, maze stuff, for some map stuff and some maze stuff, some error stuff, lambdas are that type of thing that is doing that. But you also have to admit, if there are then new stuff coming in, something like we had with VStackMan, that you have like some portals, then you have to look at another thing. And that's also something I generally would say. Most of the lambdas, and even my person trying to use lambdas or make lambdas only if they're adaptable, and make them also that they are like adaptable to different kind of things. My lambdas, for example, can handle, now error lambdas can handle all type of errors, because I made them to use all type of errors to not break down when errors are changed and so on. And I think with even with those, like making it adaptable thoughts, it is not possible to me to use lambdas every time. And as long as case design will evolve, lambdas will not be that kind of a game changer, at least not in every case. And that's also call for case design if you do a case that is too similar to previous cases. I call out here, for example, the first quarterfinals case this year. It was like, as I saw it and I thought, oh, this is like pipe mail. What the F? Because I thought it's not fair to use a case that is kind of not similar, but like more than similar than a case done previously. And we also saw that one competitor had a lambda based on the previous case and was able to solve one of the higher levels quite quickly. And therefore, but it would also have been a problem if he would not have lambdas, because then he could quickly, for example, have a folder on my laptop with all my case solves. I could quickly go in there, take the formula out, adapt it on the fly, and it's not a lambda, but something pre-made. But we will come to back later. But it would still help me in that thing. So that's actually the cause why I used or started using lambdas, because I was sitting there in 2023 in Arizona, and it was really bad in the quarterfinals, so to say, for the MACC, the student version. And we had like a really cool presentation by Craig Headmaker about 5G lambdas or lambdas in general. I wasn't aware of like the usage of lambdas, lambda libraries, and so on. And yeah, he made his presentation, and back then I started collecting lambdas since 2 years. And my thought was, okay, I have limited mental capacity. And if I'm under time pressure and so on, I will be able to do some basic stuff even if I don't know how to do it anymore. So back then it was text splitting. Under the time pressure, I knew even back then mid and sequence and so on, and you can split the text. But back then I wasn't able to do this, and therefore my first lambda was a text split lambda. And yeah, this is preventing fuck-ups under error and unnecessary errors, and making the game for me more fair, and also putting away some unnecessary pressure, I would say, from the participants. Something more about case design. Some case design ideas are not doable anymore since we have lambdas. So for example, some May stuff and some app stuff, which is narrowing down the case design. But on the other hand, also something someone said yesterday, some case design ideas are only possible due to the lambdas, because we have some boundaries like the 30 minutes, 7 levels, and so on. And if you can save some minutes on some stuff when thinking of, okay, people are having lambdas, then we are able to do more difficult stuff. And yeah, so case design is also done with lambdas in mind and enabling us to do more stuff, which is also like a balanced decision. Okay, is it actually more case design ideas or less case design ideas due to lambdas? It is making pre-prep a requirement to compete. Well, I would say it is making pre-preparation a requirement to compete at the top level. I would say that, of course, you can still compete and get decent scores on most levels without pre-preparation on a lot of things. But if you want to be at the top, at the pinnacle of Excel users worldwide, because we are the World Championship, then pre-preparation is a requirement, yes. Although, is it actually? Because there are a lot of people out there that have shared their connection. Also, you can see here, for example, one Austrian competitor in the student version using my connection. Shout out to you, David. And due to those collections out there, there's less time investment need due to people sharing their collections. So here you actually need some time to pre-prep. But if you actually go to a decent collection, I think, for example, Hayden has a super good collection, well documented, not that many lambdas because he is team less lambda. So their collections widely available, so you have, or even if you have to, thought you have to pre-prep, then it's not that much of a time investment if you actually go to a good collection and look at it. Lambdas are table staking in some cases. And is it actually? And in how many cases? Let's find out. So I'm here at the shop and want to look at some case studies of recent cases. I will only go to the cases I know. I don't have played that cases. Here's categories. I've used not a single lambda. Climbing mountains. I've used a few lambdas, but only like an easy indirect. So I could also easily do this without lambdas, and lambdas are of course not table staking here. Meal prep. Not a single lambda used. Underground mining. I think I've also not used a single lambda. VStackman. I've used a lot of lambdas and it was helping me a lot. But on the other hand, I also, we were sitting there and then we saw this VStackman case and I thought, yes, Hayden is through the qualification because I know he wasn't qualified at that point and I was so happy for him to be qualified because I know he has super good maze lambdas. The best, actually, I would say. But even with his lambdas, he was not able to qualify. So, yeah, in this case, lambdas were good, but not table staking, I would say. Next one, Jumbled Jigsaw. I have not used a single lambda. VLooky Tour. Lambdas were table staking, but only due to bad case design, I would say. I've not done those cases. Text me back. I've not used a single lambda. Bigger portals. I've not used lambdas, but you might have used lambdas if you have done some for the portals case. Hopscotch I've not done. Not done. Number one fan, part 1 and 2. I have used a few lambdas on those one, but I wouldn't say lambdas were table staking there. I would say manual solving the last level was table staking, at least in the American Europe version of it. Ski jumping, I've not used a single lambda. Lana on holidays, I've used a few lambdas. Eggs and bunnies, lambdas are not table staking. So many holidays, lambdas are not table staking. Also such as also not table staking, not table staking, not table staking back then, 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 of course not table staking back then, not table staking back then. It's like the version as before. I've used a few, not table staking in my opinion. Not table, here maze and map lambdas of course are important and are the game changer. Not table staking, not table staking. Have I played it? Well, I have played a few and I don't think all are that table staking. Volleyball, not table staking. Snowman, also not table staking. Horse, I have to play. Yeah, I think there was a few older cases. Not table staking, 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 kind of table staking. Also, isometric chaos, my lambdas has helped a lot. Lambdas could have helped here if they were actually like efficient. But I ran out of resources. Not table staking, not table staking. Back then might be a good lambda case. Not table staking. Have not done those, I think. Not table staking back then. Not table staking. Have I played it? I don't know. But anyways, you see here, in some cases, it is a game changer, especially maps and mazes. But as long as case design evolves, I don't see it that often as a game changer. And I wouldn't say that those tedious like tasks, easy indirect, and so on, lambdas are a huge burden there. And then actually motivation to keep up with to learn lambdas and keep up with lambdas. That's actually a good thing. And also not one but multiple competitors said to me, okay, lambdas are out there. I wasn't aware of them, me included. And this competition and the usage of lambdas made me aware of them and made me use them. And yeah, there's also something that might not be there if we would not allow lambdas to be part of the competition. It is increasing the barriers of entry and therefore narrowing the talent tunnel. So it's called the arms race in our competition. And yes, it might take more time to preparation and so on. But actually, this competition became a full-time job, like every other competition. Here. Here. This slide I wanted to take a look at. So actually, we have the MAWC, MACC, FNWC, the local chapters, and I think they are like 8 or 9 out there currently. We have 3 cases. You have to travel to competitions if you are doing like also a local chapter competition. You have to solve the cases afterwards, not only on the competition day. You have to learn new stuff. You have to watch walkthroughs. You have to create lambdas and so on. But you see, it's a lot. It's not only due to lambdas that this competition grew so much. For example, I currently have 70 unwatched Excel videos, some even an hour long, on my playlist. And I've unfollowed some channels. I also do not watch all the walkthroughs anymore. So it is a lot to keep up due to the inflation of things. But it's not a lot to keep up because of lambdas only. And also some other cases. So I have like 80 cases to solve. Some I will not solve because I said, okay, some Brazilian cases I'm not interested in. But actually on the cases I need to solve, there's currently number 50 in on my sheet. So there's a lot to do. And it's not only due to lambdas that this competition became a full-time competition, but it's also in any other sports. If you do like competitive swimming or something, I know, for example, the timetable of competitive long-distance swimmers. They have 2 training sessions a day with like some gymnastics and so on. Only the training sessions are like 6 hours a day, 6.5 days a week, plus some other stuff, plus travel to competitions, more competitions, resting, more need to eat, and so on. So we are the World Championship. It is a lot to comprehend. And it is not only a lot to comprehend due to lambdas. But anyways, it's also our natural evolution. It's the evolution of sport. For example, in chess, you have the opening theory. In esports, you have keybind optimization. I've Googled it. It's like that your keys are optimized for your kind of usage. In programming contests, you have templates you're using. So also Excel Esports, the natural evolution is kind of using lambdas. And it is the way in every other sport. Then lambdas are far less engaging to see. Yes, for some fewer types, it might be far less engaging to see. For the like, I want to see Excel Esports and study it. But I would say the current live stream format is borderline garbage for that kind of thing. Because you only see some players a few seconds. You cannot see the full screen. It's a hard formula to comprehend. Even if you see a screen all the time, like in the walkthrough, you also have to stop sometimes and dissect the formula line by line to understand what is going on. And therefore, some of these formats might not be the best type for this spectator type, especially since also the commentators, they do not know what they're typing in advance. They also have to follow up, like multiple people have to follow up the overall development of the game and so on and so on. And I can also say it from a commentator perspective, because I've done it for 2 games on the local level. It is hard to do that stuff. And yeah, therefore our live streams might not be, and even some walkthroughs might not be the best for the study spectator type. And yes, I can understand that it's less engaging to see. But for others, it might be more engaging to see. For example, for this type of spectator, who is sitting there and is liking like the huge jumps in points, who is interested. I was always watching out for some Lambdas because I'm interested in that stuff. So it might be less engaging, less interesting for some competitors. It might be more interesting for others. And also, the most competitors also in the walkthroughs and so on, they might not know why this formula is like looking over multiple lines, what a reduce function is doing, and so on. It is not only due to Lambdas that it's not as approachable for a general user and also for an experienced user as it might be in another type of sport. It's not only due to the use of pre-Lambdas. And also, that's also my call for every user, name your Lambdas a little bit more than a few characters. I saw some Lambda collections, 200 Lambdas, and they were, the longest Lambda name was 3 characters long. It was so incomprehensible to see what those Lambdas are doing. I tried to make also, because I'm using it that way, to make my Lambdas that I know what they're doing, that my argument names are clear. And that's also my call to action. Guys, if you're doing Lambdas, please make them understandable and not. I'm not calling it about writing what the Lambda is doing in like a textual form or comment. I'm writing it in the description and the argument names. Then it is widening the gap between the top players and medium players and the new joiners. So it's actually gap widening. I cannot say anything against it. But it is actually also closing the gap between the top players and the medium players. Because some players have done Excel Esports since like 10 years or more. And I, as a new joiner, was able to slowly keep up with better players due to Lambdas. I was okayish in Excel before. But due to Lambdas, it was possible, or is still possible to me, to keep up with the top players. And therefore, Lambdas are actually a good thing if you want to invest some time into building them. And yeah, it's a balance. What is more important is like keeping it approachable more important, or keeping it at a higher pace but making it approachable more important. And it's a balance to make. I would say we are the World Championship. Therefore, you should be at the pinnacle, and therefore it should also be a requirement to invest some time. But I can also see that some people would not like to do this. So yeah. Then what would banning Lambdas mean? Banning Lambdas would mean, in my opinion, that we need to ban all pre-prepared stuff on an honor code. So actually, like we do currently with AI, we say, okay, you are not allowed to use anything pre-prepared. This mean templates, and I'm talking here especially about our data table templates, and this mean macros. The first one, okay, I have a data table macro that is making my template on the spot, on the fly. I'm fine with doing that manually, but especially macros are currently also important in some solves. All color stuff. It is super annoying if you, at a certain point, you know how to do replacement based on format. I know this. I can do it in my sleep, but it is annoying to do. So I have a macro to handling colors. And also more important, as of now, at least for myself, data tables are broken most of the time. Therefore, I have a macro that is mimicking the data tables. With this Lambda ban, I would, for example, not be able to use that stuff. And yeah, therefore, it might also be that we would ban all pre-prepared Python libraries, which would actually mean a ban of Python solves in Excel Esports. Also something to discuss about. And why am I saying we should all ban all pre-prepared stuff? Because actually, why only ban lambdas? Macros should be on the same side, especially since you can build UDF functions with macros. And also because you might otherwise copy your formula that is not a lambda but a let in another case file and use it like a lambda, and therefore ban all everything pre-prepared. And even with a lambda ban, we would still have to memorize formula patterns, mental templates, special techniques, and lambdas are shifting this memorization in a different direction. So it is not only a memory stuff, but only also like some other stuff known, and also even without lambdas, it is still a lot to be at the top. You have to know the special techniques. You have to know how to use data tables for the level solve. You have to know how to handle colors, how to deal with errors, how to use how to solve a map with iterative calculations, or a maze with iterative calculations. So even then, lambdas are not the only thing that are keeping our moat, so to say, around Excel Esports high. It's also the special technique. It's also like my thought of, okay, do I'm using here names or tables and so on. So it is always abstract, and even if we ban lambdas, it might not change, at least for new joiners, that much. And that was all, or that were all the arguments I collected. There might be a few more, but actually, what would be ban methods? Full ban of everything pre-prepared. Full ban of everything with like a provided set of lambdas. Regarding that one, I can say there is a lot of stuff that is different from lambda collection to lambda collection. The naming, the handling, error handling, and so on. And therefore, I would still keep it a individual thing, or like to keep it an individual thing, because if you provide a set of lambdas generally, then also the other players or viewers are saying, okay, I can't find this formula in my thing. So it might change some stuff, like not doing the tedious stuff anymore, but it might not be the solution for all against arguments, while being against a few no-ban arguments. Then no ban with a generally provided set of lambdas. So no ban, you can use your own lambdas, but in every case sheet there are like 20 lambdas preloaded that are explained, that are openly available. No ban, but you have to publish your explained collection. That is actually something I would be kind of in favor on before banning lambdas. And explained collection, so details what every lambda is doing, not those ugly names most of you are using. But that would actually something like a peace offer from my side. And also no ban at all. Why not leave it as it is? Because we have to make the competition more accessible. But is banning lambdas the only thing we could do and the thing we should do? Shouldn't we have more easier cases, centrally provided learning material, local chapters that are not trying to make a race to the moon in case of case difficulty? I also have to say that our DACH cases were way too hard this year. So actually there's a lot to do. I will not say don't ban lambdas or ban lambdas, that's up to you. But we have to make the competition more accessible. We also have to consider that we currently have local chapters, but not everywhere. Although we are currently at 2 billion people, we have under the umbrella of local chapters. But to make the competition more acceptable, we might think of doing a different kind of competition for new joiners. See what the Rising Star stuff is doing, and generally be more open to other ideas instead of only banning lambdas. And now your turn. I also want to hear your things. Have I missed any arguments? And if you're a new joiner or haven't participated yet, are lambdas or were lambdas the hindering factor in your decision? That is something I would actually hear, because we are often have heard that argument that lambdas are the thing keeping people away, and we haven't gotten any reliable data on that. And it might be that even if you haven't joined, that lambdas were one of the factors, but I would like to know if it was the deciding factor. In explicit, if you would have joined if there were no lambdas. That's something I would be super interested in and also open to discussion. Thank you that you heard my voice that long, and hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe and build your collections. Bye.